what are these BMW and Mercedes owning farmers do right,
हाँ,
which is turning them into millionaires?
got it. So a couple of things, and let's go into detail. Which other farmers or other entrepreneurs who want to get into farming themselves can replicate. The first and foremost is selecting the right crop. Like in manufacturing, you figure out some commodities जिसकी वैल्यू बहुत ज़्यादा होती है एंड कुछ चीज़ों की वैल्यू बहुत कम होती है. फॉर एग्जाम्पल, अगर आप आईफोन बना रहे हो एंड आपने अच्छी तरह से मार्केट कर दिया तो चांसेस हैं कि यू विल टर्न आउट टू बी रिच. वेयर एज इफ यू आर स्टिल मैन्युफैक्चरिंग रेडियो, देन द चांसेस दैट यू विल मेक मनी इज लेस. तो सबसे पहला डिसीजन है कि आपको कौन सा क्रॉप ग्रो करना है. नाउ आइडेंटिफाई अ क्रॉप जिसकी वैल्यू ज़्यादा है. अब वैल्यू कैसे ज़्यादा आइडेंटिफाई होती है कि एक तो इंडिया में ही वैल्यू ज़्यादा है प्लस एक्सपोर्ट वैल्यू भी बहुत ज़्यादा है. एंड फॉर्चुनेटली वी आर इन एन एरा वेयर इन्फॉर्मेशन इज नॉट अ प्रॉब्लम. तो स्पेंडिंग अ फ्यू आवर्स और अ फ्यू डेज डूइंग डीप रिसर्च यू कैन फाइंड आउट कि किस चीज़ की वैल्यू बहुत ज़्यादा है. फॉर एग्जाम्पल, इंडिया इज़ नोन फॉर इट्स स्पाइसेस. तो अगर आपने राइट काइंड ऑफ टर्मरिक उगा लिया या राइट काइंड ऑफ एनी स्पाइसेस उगा लिए जिसको आप एक्सपोर्ट कर सकते हो एंड डोमेस्टिक वैल्यू भी अच्छी है. डोंट डिपेंड ओनली ऑन एक्सपोर्ट, क्योंकि इंटरनेशनल मार्केट तो आप कंट्रोल नहीं कर सकते हो. तो फाइंड अ क्रॉप जिसकी डोमेस्टिक वैल्यू भी अच्छी है और एक्सपोर्ट मार्केट भी अच्छा है.
Got it.
तो ये जो रिच फार्मर्स हैं, और ये रिच फार्मर्स आपको हर स्टेट में मिलेंगे. ये ऐसा नहीं है कि अम, बहुत ही लिमिटेड है. ये आपको महाराष्ट्र में भी मिलेंगे, पंजाब हरियाणा में भी मिलेंगे, कर्नाटका तमिलनाडु में भी मिलेंगे. हर जगह उन्होंने एक कमोडिटी और एक क्रॉप आइडेंटिफाई कर लिया है जो वो ग्रो करके बहुत पैसा कमा सकते हैं. तो
Got it.
स्पाइसेस तो हैं ही.
Hmm.
तो टर्मरिक हो गया,
Hmm.
ब्लैक पेपर हो गया, कार्डेमम, विच यू कैन ग्रो सेल इन इंडिया एज वेल एज you can export.
Okay.
Then tea, coffee and tobacco farmers are good in terms of their economic condition, क्योंकि ये commodities इंडिया में भी इनका डिमांड अच्छा है और एक्सपोर्ट भी कर पाते हैं. Then if you look at fruits, think of yourself as a consumer. What fruits you eat regularly and are ready to pay a premium for that. Not necessarily for banana, right? But you are ready to do that for strawberry. A lot of it also for grapes, mangoes and pomegranate. So there's a domestic market which is proven. People like these fruits and people are ready to pay a premium for it. At the same time, there's an export value. If you can figure out an export market, then your incomes will increase even further. So what these rich farmers have done, they were not born rich, but they selected the right crop. That was point number one. Crops like strawberry, grapes, pomegranate, or here some spices. Now, once you have selected the crop, the next thing to do is grow it perfectly. Higher the value, difficult it is to grow. That's the natural universal law for everything in life, right?
Hmm.
If things were easy, everyone is doing it and then value goes down.
Like for banana.
Like banana. Banana is available so cheaply in the market because it's relatively easy to grow. So every farmer grows it. Supply is high. So even though demand is high, the value is not that high. But strawberry, grapes, extremely difficult to grow. So very handful of farmers have figured out how to grow it. Demand continues to remain high, so value increases. Why is the export value high? Rest of the world has not yet figured out how to grow grapes.
Really?
Yeah, India is one of the top exporter of grapes
Okay.
because
Grapes is very difficult, and even in that, if you the export value is for residue free grapes.
What do you mean by residue-free grapes?
So basically, if the grapes are there and if you test it, if there is any top residue of chemicals, it's very difficult to grow, which Indian farmers have figured out.
so one thing, and it would be good for the audience to understand that if you want to export any crop, let's say even rice, wheat, and grapes, pomegranate, it should be residue free. What we mean by residue free is that when you're growing a crop, you spray some chemical fertilizers and pesticides. And while testing a batch of export container, the testing is done. And if any residue of any chemical is found and there are defined parameters, everything is highly scientific and highly objective. So if a chemical is found beyond a particular range, then your export gets rejected right then and there.
Specifically, EU came up with lot of regulations on this, and EU's regulations are considered a standard high value regulations, which then every other country also started adopting.
Got it. So the first step is choose the right crop. Second step is grow it perfectly. Can we go a little deeper into this? Okay, first let's define all the steps and then we'll go deeper into each of these steps.
Maybe we can go into detail now itself. So growing perfectly is important. Let's figure that out. What does that mean? Firstly, given the weather conditions, and let's take grapes and strawberries as example, they are very difficult crops to grow. A particular crop like grape will have more than 20 pest and disease attack during a season. One season is generally 6 months. Now we know how seasons work in India. Sometimes rainfall can be extreme. Sometimes it can be extreme in opposite direction where there is no rainfall. So this weather condition will affect a crop like grape significantly. Then temperatures can be extreme. Even though let's say November is supposed to be winter, but sometimes the heat can be beyond a particular range. Or sometimes we expect July to be warm, but sometimes it's very cold because of rain. So the weather is something that is not in your control, but it's extremely important. Wind speed can be extreme, humidity can be extreme. So these parameters, that is rainfall, temperature, humidity and wind speed, they affect the growth of any crop, and even more for difficult crops like strawberry, grapes and pomegranate. And each change in weather condition can impact what pest and disease attack will happen, which is same as human beings, right? More change in weather will lead to some fever, cough, or maybe some complicated diseases. That's the same thing happens in crop. But human medical science has evolved. Today, we are capable to either prevent that disease by maybe, let's say, staying indoor, immunity, etc., or we can control quickly even when we catch the disease. But agriculture science at the farmer level has not evolved so much that they learn how to prevent it based on changing weather conditions or control it once the disease happens.
As in, there are methods, but they're not aware of it.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct.
Got it. Okay.
But grapes farmers are aware of it, and that's why they are rich.
That's why they have a BMW.
Yeah. So they have figured out that if I want to grow a good crop, how do I increase the immunity so much that I'll prevent the pest and disease? And in some cases, the pest and disease attack will happen. How do I control it? And that's where BharatAgri comes into the picture.
Got it.
Grapes is just an example, but you grow any crop in India. We have a portfolio of more than 40 crops. We will guide you how to prevent any pest or disease attack, how to increase immunity, how to control it, and that too based on changing climatic conditions.
Perfect. Hi guys, thank you so much for watching the Indian Business Podcast. If you find value in our work, please hit that subscribe button, because for you it might be a zero effort task, but for us that subscriber count is an important instrument to get great guests to our podcast and to make this podcast better for you. So if you find value, please subscribe.